Hey everybody, welcome back to another Wine Down Wednesday with me, Janelle. So what I want to talk to you guys tonight about is the entitled dumbasses that live in Los Angeles and probably everywhere in the world, I'm saying, but Los Angeles is full of entitled people. And I've lived here a long time now, but I still have never gotten used to that I'm better than you thing. You know people here think, well, I'm an agent, I'm a manager, I'm an investment banker, like I am somebody. I really am sick of that sort of attitude around here, and I hope that when the coronavirus, one of the positive things that would come out of this was that people would sort of become more humble and more loving and more, kind. And I have to say, I have seen a lot more kindness and patience, especially people who live in Los Angeles. Now, we're not always known for being that kind, patient, and definitely not punctual. But even that being said, I still see some entitled dumbasses out there who think they're better than everybody else. And, if this is you, you may have seen this too. Or maybe it is you. Anyway, my message is stop being such an entitled dumbass and join the human race. Okay? So, here we go. A little vino always goes so far. Okay, so there's instances that I've noticed because I am spending more time like standing around the line these days, even with my wounded foot. Okay, so we spent a lot of time standing in line since coronavirus started, especially like at the grocery store. When it first hit, man, those lines were awful. And, this is before they mandatorily made the mask mandatory, right? So you're standing in line, you're freaking scared out of your mind, and you do your social, like 6 foot back thing. They got the little marks on the sidewalk, when you're supposed to stand. Anyway, so I'm standing in line Whole Foods, and it was like a 45-minute wait this day. And this woman that I recognized even from the gym, I will say, seemed like a nice enough lady in the gym, but she comes up to the front of the line. Now, I'm like now seconded. I've been waiting a long time. And she says to the girl at the front, the little Whole Foods girl who's guarding the door, because they can only have so many people in the store at once. And she's like, can I go in? I just need to get a spice, 1 spice. And the girl goes, I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's a line. And she goes, I just need 1 spice. Why do I have to wait in line for 1 spice? Anyway, the girl, thank God, tiny little thing, wouldn't budge. She was so angry that she turned and left and didn't go into the store and didn't wait in line. I was like, who do you think you are? Just because you need 1 thing, does that make you better than everybody else? Stop being an entitled dumbass, okay? Okay, now back at Whole Foods, it's one of my favorite places to go these days and one of the only places to go, I'll add. I'm standing in line. I go to take my place in line, and there's this elderly gentleman in front of me. And when I say elderly, I'm talking like decrepit, like in his 90s. You know that. And they have hours for the elderly people to shop, but this poor old man, first of all, I'm saddened to think that this old guy is there by himself, getting his groceries. Like, the whole thing just broke my heart. Here's this old man who's exposing himself to coronavirus, but he has no choice, and the whole thing was, I was almost crying standing in line behind him. So I couldn't take it. He was propping himself up against the wall. So I walked around, I said to the girl behind me, can you just watch my space for a minute? So I walked around the front, and I said to this lady, there's the little girl that works at Whole Foods, I'm like, there's an elderly gentleman standing back there, and he's barely hanging on. Is there any way we could just let him come in front? Well, the lady who's next in line says, I've been standing in line for 45 minutes. Why should I let some person come in? There's time for them to shop. And I'm like, don't be an entitled dumbass. I said, let the guy in front of you. He's got to be in his 90s. Like, he can barely stand up. The girl behind her said, I'll let him come in front of me. The girl behind her said, I'll let him come in front of me. So I went and got him, and I brought him to the front. And I gave the lady the stare, the Neil stare, the Janelle stare. And fine, she let him pass. But I mean, be a human being. Like, I just felt bad for this man. Like, first of all, just the whole thing about him being in line by himself and, is he alone? Like, it's just, anyway, stop being an entitled dumbass and be a human being. Okay, now just before the mask became mandatory, they were starting to become like, everybody was encouraged to wear a mask. I'm standing in line at Whole Foods. The guy in front of me was going to have a mask. So so I'm like, kind of really keeping my 6-foot distance. And he goes up to when he gets his turn, he says, I don't have a mask. Now, they wouldn't let you in without a mask, but they weren't fining you for not wearing one. So she gives him a mask, and he turns around and walks out. So he was standing in line to get a free mask. Entitled dumbass, okay? Okay, speaking of masks, now they're mandatory, and you're getting fined if you're not wearing them. So my question to you is, Mr. Beverly Hills macho dude, I see this older man walking. When I say older, I'm talking in his 70s, a little portly, and he's on his phone, talking loudly, mask around his hand, and he's talking in a foreign language is all I will say. But anyway, I'm looking at him. He has no regard for his health or anybody else's health. And I felt like screaming out, hey, you! You're the one who's going to get sick and die from this if you get it. You're going to end up in a ventilator. You're old and you're kind of fat. Wear your freaking mask. But I restrained myself and just gave him a dirty look instead. But hey, just because you're some rich guy living in Beverly Hills and ooh, I'm all that, doesn't mean you shouldn't be wearing your mask. Come on, God, wear your damn mask, you entitled piece of crap. Okay, now, if you're wearing a mask, wear a mask, okay? Why are you wearing your mask and your nose hairs are popping out? I'm sorry, it's a respiratory disease. I don't know about you, but I like to breathe through my nose. Don't be an entitled dumbass or just a dumbass. Wear your mask if you're gonna wear your mask. If you're gonna wear the mask, wear the mask. Okay, and besides, I don't want to see your nose hairs. On that note, I need to skip a line because old men with nose hairs, young men with nose hairs. Do nose hairs really have a place in the world? I don't know. Okay. Now, the salons have finally opened up again. Yes! Pretty blonde hair. Looks all soft and sexy and feminine. I love it. But I'm finally getting my hair done. And I'm sitting in the chair and this macho dude comes in. And he sits down, and the first thing he wants to do is take off his mask. And he starts pulling it off. And he's like, he's far away, but he's at the chair next to me. And I looked at him, and I looked at my hairdresser, and she comes in, she whispers, he's one of those macho guys. I don't really like him. And he's like, so he's like pulling his mask down. He's like, I just, honestly, the hair salon just opened it up again. Do we want to get it shut down because you won't wear your mask? I did give him a Janelle stare. And I can stare for a long time if I have to. He finally wore his mask. Stop being an entitled dumbass. Wear your mask. It's the rules. We don't want anything else to shut down. We want things to open up. Do your part to keep them open, folks. Okay. Okay, now, speaking of masks, if you have a cough or your allergies are off the hook, why are you going grocery shopping? I mean, you might not have COVID, but you have something, okay? I'm at Woof the other day, and there's a guy in the produce section, and as I explained to you before, it's very hard to social distance in that produce section. Like, someone's getting an onion, someone's grabbing broccoli. It's like, it's kind of a free-for-all. Well, he's coughing like every 30 seconds into his mask, which, by the way, is gross because you're getting all that germs back into your lungs. Don't be a dumbass. Don't be, a stupid, entitled dumbass. Stay home. Call Pink Dot, or guess what? Amazon delivers now. I mean, don't make us sick with whatever the hell it is you've got. And don't make yourself more sick by breathing in your germs. I'm just saying. Anyway, sometimes people are beyond me. Okay, now I love dogs, and even though my leg is sore, I like to go for little walks. So, okay, first of all, I'm wondering if when you're walking your dog, why you think you don't need to wear a mask? Because half the people see walking their dogs aren't wearing a mask. And here, like West Hollywood, it's a $300 fine. So my area is very LA, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood. It's hard to know which street you're on and where you're going to get fined. But still, is that exercise? It's not like you're running on the beach. You're walking your dog. Don't be an entitled puppy person. Wear your mask. And speaking of entitled puppy people, what? You don't want to pick up your dog's poop now because of coronavirus? Like, I don't want to step in his poo. Like, do I look like I want to step in his poo? I don't want to step in his poo. Okay? to everybody. It's only polite, and, you know, do you not wipe your own butt? Maybe you don't. Maybe you have someone who does that for you. Guess what? That is a job that I'm never going for. Anyway, and yeah, my last point about entitled people. So, I love dogs. So I'm always like, hi, how are you? Can I pet your dog? And so I'm up to this little dog and I'm petting it. I see this dog quite frequently in my neighborhood. So we're doing our little thing. And all of a sudden, this guy's waiting for his friend apparently. Well, the friend comes up and he looks at me and he starts to scream, stop petting his dog! You can give him coronavirus! Okay, so meanwhile, I was wearing gloves and a mask, and I looked at him, the dog looked scared, the guy looked scared, I looked scared. I'm like, you know what? That's your prerogative. But stop being an entitled dickhead and let people have their dogs get pet if they want it. I mean, dogs need affection. I need affection. Like, if someone were to pet me right now, I don't think I'd say no. I'm just saying, meow. Anyway, on that note, stop being entitled dumbasses and have a glass of wine and live the life glass half full mentality. Make the best of every day. That's all we can really do. And you can always have a little air guitar